Day 9 of Sean Diddy. Combs' trial has finished in New York. Musician Kid Cudi, who was in a relationship with Combs' ex-girlfriend Cassie, gave evidence, at one point describing Combs as a Marvel supervillain. Scroll down to catch up on what happened in court. A long weekend off for the jury. It's now a long weekend for the court, as it will not be sitting on Friday. On Tuesday, when court resumes, we will hear from Diddy's past employee, Capricorn Clark, who was briefly mentioned today in the discussion of the fire in Kid Cudi's Porsche. We are also due to hear from the LA Police Department and the LA Fire Department. The prosecution says the case is looking set to last 6 weeks as planned, and so should be finished by July 4th, Independence Day in the U.S. Computer expert asked about Frank Black's device. Computer forensics expert Joshua Croft is now being cross-examined by Teeny Garagos for the defense. Garagos starts by thanking Croft personally for explaining all of the technical detail. Croft is asked whether witnesses or suspects would be asked for consent, and he says yes and confirms Cassie gave her consent for them to search. His cross-examination comes to an end, and there is a brief redirection from the prosecution, who ask about the computer with the profile name, Frank Black. He's asked, "When you saw Frank Black, did you continue?" Croft says, "No, we did not process that data until later when we got a warrant." With that, Croft's questioning is over. Data extracted from Cassie's computers, analyst says. Special Agent Joshua Croft, a computer forensics agent working for Homeland Security investigations, is being questioned by prosecutor Emily Johnson. Croft explains the tools he used to extract texts and other data from devices, including phones and laptops. His testimony includes lots of specialized technical terms. He says Diddy had numerous electronics devices seized from his multiple homes. He says he examined 3 devices, 2 MacBook Pro and 1 MacBook Air, all belonging to Cassie, adding that each had their own unique challenges. He describes one being set to factory default, another as having the user profile Frank Black and a guest profile, and another that appeared to be damaged, that would not power on. Hotel rooms require deep clean after Diddy. Stays due to excessive amounts of baby oil. Court hears. The jury is shown hotel records created under the name Sean Combs in December 2006. The profile name was updated to Jackie Starr in 2009. Zemmer testifies. The name was later changed multiple times to Sean Combs, Frank White and Frank Black, and was eventually changed to Ryan Lopez, according to Zemmer. Notes added by hotel staff on Combs' profile include one which reads, "Always spills candle wax on everything and uses excessive amounts of oil. Place the room out of order upon departure for deep cleaning."
Just finished testifying in the sex trafficking trial of Sean Diddy Combs. CBS News legal reporter Katrina Kaufman reports from outside that courthouse on what he told the jurors about his relationship with Combs and his ex-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura.
Rapper Kid Cudi testified today about 2 incidents that he alleges involved Sean Combs. One was a break-in that happened at his house. This was right after Cassie Ventura said that Combs had found out she and Kid Cudi were seeing each other. There was later an incident where his car caught on fire. A Molotov cocktail was thrown into his Porsche. Combs has denied taking part in that incident, but Kid Cudi said that at the time he realized that they needed to talk. He had ended his relationship with Cassie Ventura, but they all met at the Soho house, made amends. Cudi asked him about the car at the time, and Combs denied knowing anything about it. But Kid Cudi did say that years later, Combs apologized to him.
Another note says, uses excessive amounts of baby oil. Likes the room hot? Set temp at 75. Zemmer's questioning is now over, and there is no cross-examination, so he leaves the stand. Share on Facebook. Share on X. Makeup artist says she only heard Diddy Cassie Row. And photos of Wiz Khalifa music. Video shown to court. The cross-examination of makeup artist Mila Morales now begins, led by Ana Estevao for the defense. She is asked about times she worked with Cassie early in her career, and the jury is shown a photo of Cassie with Wiz Khalifa while shooting one of his music videos, Black and Yellow. Morales confirms she styled Cassie for the video. Morales is also asked to confirm whether, during the hotel suite incident in which she heard Cassie and Diddy arguing, she only heard and did not see what happened, and she agrees. The defense also establishes that she has done quite a few TV interviews, including with CNN, Don Lemon, Piers Morgan, and several documentaries. Morales agrees, but says she only got paid for the photos she earlier mentioned, receiving $1,745. The cross-examination is now over, and Morales leaves the stand. Diddy fight left Cassie with swollen eye, busted lip, and knots on her head. Asked what role Diddy played in how Cassie looked, Morales says, "She had to look perfect, and you had to report back to him with pictures of Cassie on a phone." She goes on to describe Grammy weekend in 2010, when she says she and Cassie were staying in a one-bedroom suite in the Beverly Hills Hotel on the day of a party at pop star Prince's home. She says she was napping on the couch when she was woken by a little commotion with Cassie walking in, followed by Diddy saying, "Where the fuck is she?" She says Cassie and Diddy went into the bedroom, and she heard yelling and screaming. She describes Diddy leaving the room and then seeing Cassie distraught and upset, with a swollen eye, busted lip, and knots on her head. Morales says they immediately packed up their belongings and left, with Cassie coming to stay with her for a few days. She says one of her friends, who was a doctor, later checked Cassie over, feeling her stomach and ribs, and suggested they go to A&E, but they did not, as Cassie was afraid of Diddy. Morales admits, "I feared for my life," but adds she did not call the police. After Cassie left her apartment a few days later, she said they spoke a few times a year, but never again acknowledged what had happened. She says she had spoken to journalists about it, giving one media outlet a photo of her and Kim Porter, Diddy's ex-girlfriend and mother of 4 of his children, and says she was paid $1,745 for it. There are no more questions from the prosecution. Makeup artist worked with Rihanna and J-Lo. Celebrity makeup artist Mila Morales tells the court she worked for Diddy, who she refers to as Puff. Between 2000 and 2005, she says she did men's grooming for him, including light makeup for the camera. Morales says after working with Diddy, she worked with Rihanna for 13 years, and also worked with both Jennifer Lopez and Cassie. She says she first met Cassie when she was just 16 and describes her as, "like a little sister to me." Morales says she did make up for Cassie for photo shoots, music videos, and editorials for fashion magazines, at the studio, in the trailer, at her home, and on location. In pictures, Kid Cudi leaves court after testifying. We can now bring you some pictures of Scott Mescudi, better known as Kid Cudi, leaving the court in Manhattan after testifying. His time in court is now over. The trial will move on to its next witness shortly. As we mentioned a little earlier, we're expecting that to be Mila Morales, a celebrity makeup artist who used to style Cassie. Judge warns defense over sexual line of questioning with jury out for lunch. With the jurors exiting the courtroom for lunch, Judge Subramanian has just given the defense a dressing down. Brian Steele was also criticized by the prosecution for asking Kid Cudi about sexual activity with Cassie. Assistant U.S. Attorney Maureen Comey said Steele's line of questioning was outrageous and said, "We were shocked that defense spoke about sexual activity with this witness." The judge agreed and said the line was clear and crossed. "Mr. Steele, you knew the rule and you did it anyway," Subramanian said. "Is it going to happen again?" "No," Steele replied. The drama was out of hand. Cudi describes giving Cassie space for my safety, for her safety. Cudi is now being questioned again by the prosecution's Emily Johnson. She asks what Cassie told him about the abuse and says that Diddy would hit her sometimes, kick her. Cudi says Cassie was really shook the day Diddy came to his house and says their relationship ended because he wanted to give Cassie space. And also, the drama was too out of hand. He's asked to clarify what he means by drama and says the break-in. He's also asked why he wanted to give Cassie space and says it was getting out of hand. For my safety, for her safety. Cudi says the reason he was concerned about safety was that he knew Diddy was violent. He also elaborates on his discussion with Diddy after the car fire and says when Diddy told him he didn't know what he was talking about when asked specifically about the car, he believed that he was lying. Cudi's time on the stand is now over, and he leaves the courtroom. Cudi admits Cassie played him and was living 2 different lives. Court hears. Cudi is now being cross-examined by Brian Steele for the defense. He asks about Cudi's relationship with Cassie and asks if he was confused when he discovered Cassie and Diddy had also been dating during his 1-year relationship with her. He says that's correct, and when asked if Cassie played him, he says yes. He agrees he had no clue Cassie had been seeing someone else. When asked if Cassie was smart, talented, outgoing, and has a strong personality, Cutie answers, yes, 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 yes. Cutie confirms he'd spent holidays with Cassie and her family, and agrees he was hurt when the relationship ended, as he had cared for her. He also confirms that Cassie never told him of any sexual abuse from Diddy, and later, when it's suggested she was living two different lives, he agrees. Steele says, the person who played you is the same person who played Sean, Ms. Ventura. Cutie says, true. He also says it was Cassie who passed on his address details to Diddy. The cross-examination of Cutie is now complete. Diddy was like Marvel's supervillain during Soho House meeting about Cassie. Cutie says he met with Diddy and his head of security, D-Rock, at Soho House, describing Diddy as staring out the window with his hands behind his back, like a Marvel supervillain. Cutie says it was just him and Diddy in the meeting room. They discussed how Cutie had started dating Cassie and how it had ended. He says Diddy described him as dating my girl, saying he told him, Cassie told me you were broke up and I took her word for it. Cutie says Diddy was calm, which he describes as weird and off-putting, adding that Diddy offered him water twice. He says Cassie eventually arrived, adding, I was upset to find out that she kind of went back to him. At the end of the meeting, Cutie and Diddy shook hands, he tells the court. Cutie also says he asked Diddy, what are we going to do about my car? He says Diddy replied, I don't know what you're talking about. Cutie says he saw Diddy once a few years later at Soho House with his daughter, and says Diddy told him, man, I just want to apologize for all that bullshit. Cutie says it was the last thing he was expecting to hear, and after that he made peace with it. That concludes the prosecution's questioning of Cutie. JTF, Kid Cutie describes reaction after finding out Molotov cocktail torched his Porsche. The court has shown a photo of Kid Cutie's car, a Porsche Avignon de Cabriolet. The photos show the car after it was damaged by fire in January 2012, while parked in Cutie's driveway. Cutie says he was away from home at the time, visiting his ex-girlfriend's sister's house, but was sent photos by his friend. Cutie says the car was damaged with a Molotov cocktail, which he says was put into the driver's seat through the open top of the car. Cutie says his car was completely burnt up and was written off after the fire. Asked what his reaction was to the fire, Cutie answers, what the fuck? Oh! Cutie says the fire was intentional, and adds the last time he saw Cassie was at Soho House, a few days after the blaze. He says he contacted Diddy, saying that he wanted to meet up to talk, as he felt they needed to speak before this gets out of hand. Diddy listens to Cutie with arms and legs crossed. During Cutie's evidence, Diddy is sitting back in his chair with his arms and legs crossed, looking attentively at Cutie and listening to what he says. Today, Diddy, who has been given special permission to wear civilian clothes rather than his prison-issued jumpsuit, is wearing a cream top and khaki trousers. The Simpsons and Diddy's white parties, a chilling parallel. The Simpsons has built a reputation for its satirical, but often eerily accurate, portrayals of public figures. But few examples have stirred as much debate as their portrayal of an extravagant music mogul in the 2017 episode titled The Great Phatsby. The character? A man named J.G., charming, rich, and ruthless. But beyond the flashy lifestyle and power plays, one detail stands out with striking clarity: the infamous white parties. In the episode, J.G. hosts exclusive, high society gatherings where everyone is dressed in white. The parties are massive, opulent, and invitation, only brimming with celebrities, influencers, and industry elites. These events are not just social, they're symbolic. They're power rituals, staged spectacles meant to showcase dominance, wealth, and control over culture. Now let's step into the real world. Sean "Diddy" Combs, the legendary hip-hop mogul, has long been known for throwing similarly extravagant white parties. Held in exotic locations like the Hamptons or Los Angeles, these events drew A-list celebrities, musicians, and business titans, all dressed head to toe in white, under strict entry protocols. Photos from these parties flooded media outlets for years, always painting Diddy as a king among entertainers. But what once looked glamorous now carries a darker shadow. In recent months, Diddy has been embroiled in a series of disturbing allegations, including civil lawsuits, accusing him of sexual assault trafficking, and racketeering. Homeland Security even raided his homes in Miami and Los Angeles. Suddenly, the optics of those all-white parties have shifted from elegance to enigma. Critics and conspiracy theorists alike are pointing to those gatherings as more than just parties. Were they power rituals, cover-ups, something more sinister? And that's where The Simpsons strikes again. Viewers are now revisiting the Great Phatsby with new eyes. Was JG just a fictional character or a thinly veiled parody of Diddy? His lavish lifestyle, manipulative tendencies, and showy events now feel eerily on point. In the episode, JG even uses his wealth and charm to exploit others, particularly the main character, Mr. Burns, whom he lures into financial ruin. The timing of it all feels chilling. The Simpsons aired this episode in 2017, years before any public allegations surfaced against Diddy. Yet the resemblance is uncanny. The fashion, the parties, the industry power plays, even the darker undertones. It raises a haunting question. Did The Simpsons simply exaggerate what they saw in the entertainment world, or were they, once again, peering into the future? Was JG a prophecy? A warning disguised as comedy? Now, as Diddy faces legal battles and the public reconsiders his legacy, the episode has gone viral. Clips of the White Party scenes are circulating online with side-by-side comparisons to Diddy's real-life events. It's no longer just entertainment. It's social commentary that hit too close to home. In a world where truth often feels stranger than fiction, The Simpsons seems to blur the line yet again, leaving us to wonder, how did they know? And more disturbingly, what else might they already know?